Thanks very much.
Yes.
No, we've got this report back. You've seen it?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Go find it. Right. Crime stats over the last month. In the past month there have been 2 recorded crimes in Easton. One was criminal damage to a property and the other one was arson, not endangering life. I've got other evidence of that. And it was on Borber Road and it was a hedge was set alight.
Another one.
Yeah. Arson, not endangering life, Borber Road, hedge set alight. Between 6:25 on the 25th of Feb and between 6:25 and 6:30 on the 25th of Feb.
Well, I pinned it down
So
to
they
5
pinned
minutes
it down
then.
to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we've had hedges in Kennedy Close before, haven't we?
so I don't know what sort of
And fire in the Jubilee Plough. That's the same person. No, is there anything else that anybody knows about? No? No?
No.
You want a very brief report now? Right. Now I'll suspend the meeting for, well, it says 10 minutes, but I'll allow it to 20, and I mean 20. If anybody wants to speak, I mean, obviously several of you have come for a reason, which I presume is the same reason as before, the houses. So does anyone want to speak about anything?
I'm happy to. The diocese, the vicarage, I think you've got on the agenda is about topping the trees or something.
Yeah. We haven't actually been
TPO on trees.
We haven't actually. TPOs are dealt with by means of a planning application, and we have been advised that South Norfolk have received a planning application, but they haven't actually sent it to us for us to consider.
So, yeah.
But I've got the details here. Sorry, that's the wrong one.
So much paper, John.
And there are 4 trees to be felled and replanted.
When will this work be carried out, do you know?
No. I'll tell you what it says. It says tree 1, maple raised crown to 5 metres. Tree 2, 4 limes raised crown to 5 metres. Tree 3, lime raised crown to 5 metres. They all sound the same, aren't they? T4, oak raised crown to 5 metres. T5, lime raised crown to 5 metres. T6, oak raised crown to 5 metres. Then T7 is a maple fell and replant. T8 is twin stem chestnut fell and replant. T9 is chestnut fell and replant. And T10 is chestnut stump fell and replant.
Yeah, well, I'm not very happy about because there's a lot of nesting birds there. There's, I believe, 37 nests. Because that's a rookery there.
Yeah.
And I'm not too happy about it at all.
They're all rooks, are they?
Yeah.
But I mean, this is dealt with by the tree people at South Norfolk.
Well, sort of might be, but I'm still not happy about the situation, to be honest.
Can you can write to South Norfolk?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
get somebody up?
Well, can I say Robin Taylor is the tree warden or tree person?
Yeah.
If you
But
get touch with
I've
them.
been in touch with Norfolk Wildlife, and they said they shouldn't, if there's nesting birds there, they shouldn't be touching the trees, you know, in the nesting season, which is now.
I would hope, as it's a tree expert involved in South Norfolk, that they would take that into account.
Would they come out and look at it? Or not?
And I mean, why is this work got to be carried out? Why do they want to do this? There's obviously a reason they want to do it.
Well, we haven't been told that. We know who the applicant was, and it says work to TPO trees.
Who's the applicant?
Mr. E. Buck, 99 Primrose Road, Norwich.
And who's the owner of the trees?
working on the diocesan office.
Just, well, they give a
Personal address.
personal address, not.
I think we should have more detail.
Well, this is the first thing we get. It's just a thing to say they've received a planning application.
Can I just say that from my brief experience of having trees chopped down, right, any tree surgeon tells you can't do anything while the tree is in leaf. Right? So, now because we're in spring, it's highly likely this work can't continue until October, when the trees will not be in leaf, and when it's far safer to actually remove them, because while the tree is in leaf, it nearly doubles the weight of the tree and makes life very, very difficult to the trees.
That's,
Well, they might just be in leaf.
I mean, they're not in leaf yet, are they? Unless they're the evergreens.
I think it would be difficult to get it done within the next 4 weeks, which after 4 weeks they will be in leaf. They'll be budding
Yes.
May I suggest that we find out or ask who owns those trees, and as John said, what is the reasoning behind they want them, changed or locked or whatever they call it.
Is he the tree surgeon?
No, that's another one.
There was another.
Yeah, this is the.
Oh, that's that then. So who's the tree surgeon?
Well, we don't know the tree surgeon.
But now I'm going to, well, not the surgeon, the tree. They put the TPUs on, not the surgeon as such.
No, well, that'll be the tree guy outside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, the fear I've got is that as a parish council we don't always get advice of TPO jobs. They don't always come to us and ask for our advice on them. For example, Mr. Rampton's trees, we didn't know that they were.
Well, they didn't come to us before, they just did it then. Margaret, what do we do about this? Do we go to the South Norfolk and ask to whoever the TPO person is?
I think it'll be Robin Taylor, he usually deals with the trees. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, we'll do what we can to find out more.
I mean, they're owned by the diocesan board, aren't they?
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, why is it?
well, the reason. But the
I think we need to act on this quickly before that affects the nesting.
Well, they're nesting now. I think even some of the birds, because I live right next to it, and I think some of the birds have got eggs now.
Well, they probably are starting to build nests.
So they are nesting, they are nesting. I think when we have
We
eggs.
need to knock them on the head for
well, they've only just had this application. It's the last one.
Yeah, we haven't had it for 3 weeks.
We haven't had it at all. South Norfolk have only had it
Yeah,
once.
yeah.
I would imagine they've had a survey, and the survey has recommended this work to be carried out.
Well, it may be and maybe not. Anyway, does anybody else want to say anything about anything else? While we're, yes?
Back on the planning at 2611. You kindly obviously sent your unanimous objection into the South Norfolk Council following the EGM. Is there a separate set of minutes prepared for that meeting, or is this objection in itself effectively is the minutes of that meeting?
I've sorted the papers, but I have not attempted to write minutes. I can see that it would be very difficult to do so.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been busy with other things, so I could attempt it later.
Yeah, I just wondered, in the grand scheme of correct procedure, is this sufficient, or do you have to supply minutes as well for an EGM? I'm not being difficult, I'm just looking at what the procedure might be.
Well, I think we have previously.
Yeah,
Remember one.
Some notes and notes.
Yeah, I mean, I've got all those, and that will be kept together with
Yeah.
the papers that you gave me. I just haven't attempted to actually write them up as minutes.
I know it wouldn't be easy.
John's up to his neck in
Which would be a
work.
phenomenal job to do if you try to put down what each of those people said that night.
Well, it'd be almost impossible.
So I haven't been rushing at it, but I haven't done it.
No, that's fine. Obviously, if they're coming out at obviously sooner is better than later. I don't want to push you on a difficult task of producing lots of probably lengthy minutes, but it just would be relevant, I think, to the bigger picture.
Right, well, that's a work in progress, shall we say? Yes.
It's reference 2611. I've handed into the Parish Council this evening a map which has been duly signed by the person who dug the 3 pits for the with regard to contaminated land. I think the Parish Council need to start looking and taking a view with regard to how the college wanted to give the parish contaminated land in exchange for what was going forward. We know just on the site over there where they want to build part of extend the school and build a new village hall and a play area for our children, that there's 252 foot and mouth cattle buried under it.
I don't think you'd say that was contaminated now.
Well, DEFRA would argue with you, and so would the Environmental Protection Officer of South Norfolk.
Well, it can only be left a few buildings. It can't be anything else.
They believe there's likely still to be pooling within that area. It is contaminated. DEFRA don't want those sites touched.
Well, we'll investigate that.
Yeah.
Because I did know that cattle had been buried there, and I thought it was nearer to Hall Road.
No,
what you've actually shown.
We've got it by the person who actually was involved in the digging of it, has actually signed it. They've actually given statements to the environment. They've given statements to the Environmental Protection Officer. So that's all now in the hands of Environmental Protection and DEFRA. And I'm just wondering how the council are going to feel about what was being proposed to be given to the village for our so-called amenities as contaminated land.
Foot and mouth don't kill human beings, eh?
No, but it's all the other toxins that are sitting in there as well. It's all the growth hormones that were being given in the 60s. That's all sitting in the soil. I've had a long conversation with the Environmental Protection Officer. This is why DEFRA don't want any of these sites touched, because it's not just the foot and mouth, it's all the other chemicals that are in there as well.
Well, we would have eaten them and drank them at that time, if you're saying that.
Well,
asbestos was safe once, wasn't it?
Sorry?
Asbestos was safe once. So was lead, so was lead. Stop eating.
Yeah, but you can't really compare that to... Well, anyway, we'll investigate.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back with an answer. Right, John? Anything else?
Does anybody, as I obviously become public enemy number 1 according to your dear Easton Parish Council letter, and I'm not making light of it at all, there are a couple of things that you mentioned on here, and I understand this. I need some clarification, but I think Margaret might be able to give us. I believed at the time when all of this was going on that as an individual parish councillor and as a member of the parish, I wasn't able to make a personal declaration because it could be seen before the event when we submitted ours as a parish council as me being I'd made up my opinion before the event. And they could have then turned around and said, that means that parish council response is not valid because at least one of those members of the parish council has already made up her mind because of the date that she sent her thing in. That was what I believed I was working under, and that was the only reason. In fact, Brenda, if you will back me up here, my first reaction was to say.
I did the same.
My first reaction though was to say I'm going to do it, and I said, oh yes, I'll put mine in, and you said
no, I won't go to for that reason.
Exactly. So that was the first thing. So I'm not making it as an excuse. I am saying that is honestly why I didn't send it in, and then I couldn't send it in afterwards because by the time we'd done our reply, it was too late anyway. However, the second thing is that you ask us what proactive measures is the parish council taking and why aren't we more proactive? Well, I'd like to throw that back to you. What would you like us to do? Would you like it to be part of your group? Would you like us to come to as individuals or as a parish council? come to your meetings to get involved in it. In that, is that what you're expecting us to do?
Sorry,
That's what I'm just asking.
could I make a point of who exactly are you addressing this to? Because who was this written by?
I don't. Is it written by you?
As individuals, not as a group.
No, I'm not. I'm not asking you. I'm asking the
The
individuals.
people who wrote it, they
The
know.
people who
Yeah.
wrote it. I'm asking you. I'm honestly asking you, and because I want to represent people. If you don't want me, then of course you can get rid of me, so that's fine. But I want to represent people, but I need to know what you expect. What more do you expect me to do as a member of the Parish Council? Because that's what you say. You want the not me, Linda Ford. I know what you have a right to expect me to do, and I understand that. But what you expect me to do as a Parish Council and the rest of us as a Parish Council to do you want us to take part in the same activities as you? What do you think we can do, and what do you want us to do as a Parish Council?
Well, in reference to the first point, whilst you may not have been able or felt able to lodge your individual objections prior to the Parish Council giving a consensus opinion, that doesn't prevent you from doing so afterwards.
No.
And in fact, the putting of objections on South Norfolk and lodging objections continues all the way up until the point in which they have the discussion and development meeting.
Fine, I didn't know that. I can therefore...
It is public, it's on the document, it says that, by the officer, Chris Rain.
Yeah, now we've actually put our objection in, and then I can go...
Well, it was a unanimous vote, what we agreed.
Okay, so that's point
So
one.
I think that covers us all.
So what point?
Point two, whilst we're bringing up the email,
Yeah.
Brenda kindly replied to me. I don't think, and you're welcome to critique this and come back, but I don't really think it was a very appropriate response. I am very sorry for your loss of your husband last year, and you will recall, I'm sure, that Veronica gave you her condolences immediately afterwards. But I don't really think responding to a question regarding the Parish Council's actions is really where you should put back how you're unhappy
I just
with the
told
care
you my
of your...
personal circumstances.
But, yeah.
That was not as the Parish Council, it was my own personal circumstances, which I would like you to know, and I told you.
And I'm very sorry for that. I truly am. Last year I went through the same bereavement process you've been through when my father suddenly and unexpectedly died. But what you should be doing is, if you feel that that is going to influence and affect what you're able to do in terms of your parish council in the same ways it does someone's working ability, you should take a leave of absence for compassionate leave. You have a vice chair there who should be able to step up and occupy the role for a brief period while you're taken away from your duties. But it's not really a place to criticise, or at least that's how it reads, the care that your husband received from the hospital. And the only reason you've put that is because I'm a consultant at the hospital. If it was someone else who was asking an opinion for the...
I wasn't attacking you personally, I was just telling you my circumstances, which I think I'm entitled to do.
Yeah, you are, but not necessarily in a response to a complaint letter for the Parish Council.
Well, that was really an awful attack that you did on all of us, actually.
No, it wasn't an attack on anyone. What I've expressed is my disappointment that the Parish Council, having supported us and the village in the objection, were then rather soft in their individual objections to the proposal.
So you would rather... So if I'd have been more proactive and being, as you say, I'm very rightly, well written and strong on the value, because as you can tell I'm very good with words, but not always, but I didn't follow it up with personal action, okay? So if I have done that, or do that, then you would feel that that would be what I ought to do as
especially
member of the
as you
council.
at the meeting encouraged all the residents to take action. Absolutely, and of course it was recorded so everyone can look back at it if no one believes us. Really you encouraged everyone and told everyone to write objections, to sign the petition, and yet none of you, well, apart from as we gave the evidence.
Yes, you've said that.
You know, it's extremely factual, that letter.
Yeah.
And you didn't then take up your own actions.
Well, actually, I sat on the computer for 4 hours with John, helping put together our objections because.
But you also might have additional objections that are different to the Parish Council.
I do.
But it's a shame that we didn't read them because it could have been really of great value.
Well, surely we're free to either make a personal objection or not, without you criticising us for doing it or not doing it.
Oh, I don't mind. I don't.
Yes, you're free to, but equally I'm free to express my disappointment.
Yeah, exactly.
That given you were so encouraging at the meeting
I'm
individually...
often disappointed.
Sorry?
I'm often disappointed. I'm disappointed by the attitude of some of the residents towards us because You're taking it as if we're your enemies, and we're not.
No, I've never taken you as being...
Well, it does seem like
but
it. And maybe not you, but someone.
It does feel like, as a parish council, and this might be my individual opinion, but I've got a sneaky feeling that it isn't, that you don't really welcome comments, feedback, criticism, and criticism can be positive or negative.
That's what we're here for.
But I don't think you really value it or welcome it.
Could you just not make that a general statement? Could you? I do. And that's why I brought this up, because I think this is very valid, and I think you have every right to say how you feel about what I did and said. I think that's quite valid.
And I think it's better to be open and to tell you than for all the residents to be me about you, and actually no one tell you to your face.
I don't even mind if they all want to go me. I mean,
well, I don't like it. I think it's much nicer if people actually are open with you and say, please, we would rather you give your own personal comments as residents, rather than people saying, well, they didn't do this. You know, at least we were courageous enough to write to you and put it on record.
Yeah, I think that's right. So if I was to do what you want me to do, there is nothing else that you think, there is no other way you think we should be more proactive.
Have you read the document that we put on the planning website about how residents feel about the consultation process?
I have read through. I read all the documentation that you put forward about that related to our.
It's specifically about the Parish Council.
It is specifically about Parish Council. No, then I haven't read it.
Okay.
No.
Well, maybe because that will answer your question in a great deal of detail.
Right. So that is what you want.
Well, it says it gives specific examples of where residents feel it hasn't been done well, where we haven't been consulted, where throughout the years no one actually asked the village, do you want the development?
Could I then say, could I just throw this back at you and say, valid as you are doing this, and I think that's fine, why has this only come up now? Why hasn't this...
I can only speak for the two of us, we've only
been going on. Why haven't people kept coming and saying, we're not happy, you haven't told us, we haven't...
That's also in the document.
Yeah, that is in the document.
Yeah, we've gone as far back... I personally Sarah and I can only speak for 2 years because that's as long as we've been in the village.
Yeah.
Some others have been longer and perhaps they would like to contribute to this conversation. But we have put it in writing, we have provided the evidence, we've linked it, cross-referenced it, all with what's been in the grapevine or in minutes.
Okay.
And the evidence is all there for you to read. And it has been submitted to South Norfolk.
Okay, well, as I've only been on the Parish Council, this is my second year, I'm sort of in the same position as you. But no, then I will go and read that. And then, if I may, I'll email you back my responses. Is that all right? Would you be happy with that?
That's brilliant.
Okay. Right.
Sorry, well, you're saying that this has only just come up. This was, what, 7 years in the making? We didn't know it was going to be 907,000. It was going to be 1,000 between Easton and Cossing, and this has been going for at least 5 years.
I mean, the evidence that we found was that the repeated documentation that we found, the message from the Parish Council. I mean, I had to go by written evidence because I wasn't here, but the written evidence was always that the village was told, don't get excited, don't do anything about it, don't respond.
Not by us.
We've got the written evidence. We've got the written
evidence.
Well, we didn't have any details. We didn't know the numbers until recently.
No, but I mean, part of why we've written the document is to demonstrate that actually there hasn't been a fair consultation process.
Yeah.
Now, part of that is out of your hands because part of it you've been given very short time frames in the same way you were for the whole documentation process. Putting it out at Christmas eats away into the time without anyone being able to use it usefully. But it's all to demonstrate that actually there's not been due and fair consultation process over this whole development. And that's not all levelled at the Parish Council and their actions. Their actions can only be on the basis of the timescale that you've been given. And the majority of the time, you're given an inadequate timescale. And so you can only do what you can do within those constraints. But the whole consultation process has been...
But there are also criticisms about the way that... And we have also openly brought this up with you before. Since we've been in the village, the two of us have been in the village, you can't say to people in the grapevine a few days before Parish Council, you must come to a meeting and before you come to the meeting, read 25 pages of a very important document, plus look at the pictures, and by the way, these are only available on the inside wall of the village hall.
Well, they were on the internet, and we didn't have time to read them all either.
No, they weren't on the internet. You didn't put them on the internet.
What 25 pages?
That specific example is about the food
I
hub.
thought all this
When
stuff
then
that was-
when the unfortunately in the grapevine there was a whole paragraph slating the residents for not attending a meeting. But when we're only given a few days' notice, and also what is the point of attending a meeting? This is for any meeting. You can't attend a meeting for which you haven't prepared. How can you give a valid contribution on 25 pages of written documentation and A3 diagrams if you've not had the opportunity to read it? There's no point in attending.
But did you know that? That we hadn't had time?
Did I know?
That we hadn't had time to read it? Or you hadn't had time
No,
to
you
read
hadn't
it?
given
you
us
mean?
time because you put the documents up on a wall, on an
But
inside
we
wall of
only
a
just
village.
had them. We put them up on the wall as soon as we got them.
Well, and therefore, as a parish council, the villagers feel if you think as a parish council you've been given inadequate consultation time, you should go back to whoever sent you the documents and say, we have not been given adequate consultation time.
We did.
But you can't slate the villagers, which is what you did in the October grapevine, November grapevine.
This is going nowhere, is it?
That's exactly what was documented, that it does go nowhere.
I think everyone's now had a go at each other. We're
Thank
wasting
you.
a lot of time here now.
I'm on a defence and...
The villagers here have formed a committee. They need your help and support in finding out where the information comes from, where to go for. As a council, you have rejected the proposal. So we're all on the same side. Yet we're sitting here arguing with each other.
Thank you. Thank you for
But everyone on both sides have got to take the criticism on board.
Yeah, right. I agree.
Take it on board. Don't take it personally. Listen, and when people ask the question, write it down. Go and find the answer. You don't know the answer, go away and find out. But write it out, put it in some form of documentation. So the next meeting you come to, it's all there in black and white for everyone to read. So it's not Chinese whispers.
Transparency is the word.
Transparency.
I think all of the information now is on the website, South Norfolk website.
No, you just said it again.
Yes.
I think. Either you know
I'm just
or you
asking
don't know.
Margaret, who is the district councillor.
Yeah. Margaret, do you know or do you not
As
know?
far as I know, everything is going on as it comes in.
Fine.
Because
Yes,
they had a job extending the date,
Yes.
but they found a way around it in the end, so they had to take them in. Yeah.
But have you read it?
Sorry?
But have you read it?
Have I read it? No, I haven't read it recently. I read it in preparation for
Because it would appear from what you're saying that there's been some important documents that have been added, say, in the last week, that you haven't read.
Well, the last one.
I mean, for example, completely taking it away from that, do you know about the South Norfolk objection to the minerals?
Yes.
Brilliant. If you do, that's fantastic.
That wasn't South Norfolk, was it?
No, that's brilliant. No, that's great.
No,
Because that went on in the last
Give
week,
us
for
our
example.
vote.
Something to do with
Yes,
us.
I've read it.
We just got a copy of that tonight.
Brilliant.
They've got it in front of them.
Have it
Brilliant.
in front of us.
It's just that if you knew about that, then it seems strange that you don't know about the other
But
documents that have
when
gone
you're
on.
attacking us, we can't work together because all we're doing is trying to defend ourselves.
No, well, I didn't start to attack you. You raised about the email.
No,
I beg your pardon. When you attack me, spell my name correctly, Mrs. Green,
And mine. Yeah.
because
I mean, that is a...
were you here?
Silly.
Come on, let's
Can we move
not-
on now? Can we move on, please?
Hang on, were you here when we had the meeting at the college about the food hub?
No, I lived in Bromley.
Right, and you didn't go round and carry a petition against the food hub round the entire length of Deerham Road. We split it up among half a dozen of us. My section was Deerham Road, right? So I worked on that, right? I've worked on other things for the good of this village, but you seem to castigate me. You complain I've plagiarised your words. I sent out an email to every single person in my address book, and they range from Holland through to France, right, and across the country to get extra signatures on the petition, just to make a bigger statement. You know nothing of this, but I was criticised for it, and you couldn't even get my name right.
But the criticism was that...
No, the criticism wasn't valid. If you can't spell my name correctly, it's insulting.
If I can
Right?
just... Can I,
It's insulting, and it's as far, I don't wish to give it the grace of further argument.
Sorry, can we...